This video is going to help show you some of the features that are in the teacher side of Desmos. A lot of you have been asking about these, and so I wanted to give you just a brief video about how I use it in my classroom and how you could start getting set up. So first you're going to want to go to teacher.desmos.com, which is going to look like this, and you can sign in using your Google account. I'm signed in right now, but I linked it with my MCPS Google account, which I've found really easy. So here on the home screen for Desmos, you can see lots of activities that have been uploaded by Desmos. And you can also search for activities that have been made by Desmos or other community contributed ones as well. So suggestions here have polygraph, linear functions, or graphing, whatever it is that you're looking for. Usually many graph-based activities are the kinds that you would want to start looking for here. Over here, you can also see that you can bookmark activities, and that will be using this function right here. That'll save it. So if I wanted to save this to my bookmarks to come back to it later, when I click on bookmarks, now it's all here, including picture perfect, which I actually don't want in my bookmark, so I'm going to take off. You can also see your history of all of the activities that you've used, and you can see a bunch of mine are here. So let's go through, let's say that you wanted to use a certain activity in your classroom. What would that look like? So let's go over here to functions, and these are bundled according to concept. So this is a whole bundle about functions. So if I wanted to use this activity in my class, that's a card sort for functions, I'd begin by clicking on it, and you can see it has the amount of time, and it says that it's for practice. So students will be sorting graphs, and I like to click on student preview so I can see kind of what's in this. And then you can see it has tips for teachers at the bottom, and you can click through here at the top to see the different student screens. If this is something that you think would work for you in your classroom, but perhaps you want to edit it, sometimes you can click on these three dots and select here where it says copy and edit. It says to edit this activity, you need to enable card sort. So I currently don't have the functionality to edit this, but for other activities, sometimes if most of the screens work for you, but some don't, you can click on edit and it'll allow you to add or remove or edit screens as you please. So going back over here to the functions bundle, and scrolling down, perhaps I want to use something else. Perhaps I want to use this marble slides activity. It'll let you know that the kids already have experience writing linear equations. So marble slides is one of my favorite Desmos activities because it allows the students to play a game, which is really fun. And you can click here on student preview and see that what they're doing is releasing a marble to try to collect stars. So here when you hit launch, it falls down and hey, they got all the stars. I think this is another one that you can't edit. So you have to use it as it is or not. But let me show you what it looks like when you start using it in your classroom and what some options are if you don't want to use every single slide. So when I click on create class code, I now have a dashboard. And when I'm in this dashboard, all of my students will populate over here on the left-hand side. And this screen comes up, which you can screenshot or just display on your Promethean board so students can go to this link and type in the code to join. And they're used to this from things like quizzes and Google Classroom and Kahoot anyway, so that'll be a simple interface for them. So once you are in this, one of my favorite settings is down here where it says teacher pacing. So if you click on teacher pacing down in the corner, you pick the first screen that you would like the students to experiment with and the last screen. So let's say that I only want the students to be on the first 3 slides. I can click restrict to screens 1, 2, and 3, and now my students can only be on those 3 slides. And you can adjust this as you go along. So if later you would like to say pause the class, you can hit pause down here. All of the students will be paused. You can turn that off when you are ready, and then you can move them along to different slides. So let's say I didn't want to use slides 4, 5, and 6, and I wanted them to move on to slide 8. I could turn off being paused. Click here to change the teacher pacing, and then restrict them to, let's say, 8, 9, and 10. So that's another way to skip slides for students, so that they're only working on the ones that you want them to be working on. I would say that that is probably the easiest way to get them onto the slides that you want them on without being able to edit the activity. One more feature that I want to show you, and we'll need to go back into my Desmos in order to see this. Oops. So I'm just going back into the classroom activities where we started, and I'm going to go to my history. And you can actually open sessions that students, so I know I have 37 students who use this Will It Hit the Hoop? So I can actually get a student list here and show you one last feature here. So this is students in my first period class. And if you wanted to bring up student screens and student work without them knowing who each other are, you can click on this button here that says Anonymize in the left-hand corner. And it changes all of their names to mathematicians. So when I bring up the graphs of different students, they all have these wonderful mathematician names. So you could project this on your Promethean board, and we could all look at Gauss's graph as a class and talk about how he did without actually knowing who he is, if that is something you wanted in your classroom. So hopefully these tips will help you get started in your class. Mostly it's great to just kind of log on to Desmos and start playing, but I was hoping that some quick tips could help you get started and use Desmos in your classroom.